Why will most people never be able to turn here in South Africa 100 Rand into more than 800,000 Rand within a 2-month period? I'm going to give you one of the reasons, because Warren Buffett says that if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money. And if you cannot control your money, I guarantee you that you'll never ever be a successful investor. So in this training session, I want to help you to become a rational investor. In other words, not an emotional investor. I'm Magnus Dreyer, and luckily for you, I'm not a financial advisor or financial planner or a fund manager or anything like that, because most of what you think you know about money and about investments are based on lies, and these are the people that is bringing the lies to you. In other words, they indoctrinate us so that we think that we know, but we don't know, and that is the reason why people don't know how to take just 100 Rand and turn it into 800,000 plus in literally 2 months. Right. Now, those lies are what is causing people to get onto this emotional roller coaster. And the main reason for that is that they're giving their money to someone else, thinking that someone else is going to help them to become rich. It's the last thing that you should ever think, because unless you take the responsibility to learn the skills, how to turn this 100 into 800,000, forget it. And those skills, they are not going to teach you, because otherwise they'll have nothing to sell to you. So let's look at one of the most volatile emotional investments that you can perhaps do. And let's look at cryptocurrencies as an example. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Let's take Bitcoin, maybe the most well-known one. And if we look from the 1st of January 2021 till the 1st of January 2022, that means it's exactly 1 year. If we look at the volatility and the negativity that goes with it, so how much did that BTC drop in a year? So the first drop happened right here in January till 8th of January till the 27th of January 2021, and that drop was minus 30.68%. The next drop, minus 26.77%. The next drop, minus 18.67%. The next drop, minus 27.71%. The next drop, minus 49.68%. The next drop, minus 28.87%. The next drop, minus 24.62%. The next drop, minus 13.07%. And then the last drop so far, that was minus 38.13%. Now, I think that you'll agree with me that if you listen to someone and they start telling you of all these drops and you did not see the graph, you're going to say there's no ways that I'll ever invest, say, for example, in Bitcoin. Right. Why? Because the media and the financial institutions are going to tell you, simply because they cannot make money out of this at this stage, they're going to spread FUD. And FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the moment that you're in that state of mind, that emotional state of mind, you are not going to make any decisions, right? So what would the outcome be if you were not swayed by these emotions and you were not an emotional investor? Well, in that case, from the 1st of January till the 1st of January in 2022, the growth on Bitcoin by doing absolutely nothing, by just buying Bitcoin, would be 56.96%. That is why it's important not to be an emotional investor and try to trade and look at the markets each and every time and every day and every minute of the day. Once you know what you need to do, you simply stick to your strategy, because otherwise you are going to become an emotional investor. Now, if you're not emotionally, then I can promise you that you're going to handle the volatility. And one of the things that I can tell you in cryptocurrencies is, of course, the more volatile that specific crypto is, the more the growth potential, on condition that you understand that crypto and that you selected the right crypto, which, by the way, is a total different story. At the moment, there's there's more than 16,000 cryptos, and I can guarantee you that 99% of them are nonsense. You will lose your money. So please pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Now, is there a better way to go about? For me personally, and remember, I'm trying to guide you. In other words, when I'm referring to myself, it does not mean that you have to do this, but you have to, I'm giving this as a guideline so that you can develop and do stuff the way that I'm doing that, if that is the results that you want. So let's go for the Dreyer crypto strategy. I've got a public known challenge that I've taken up. It started with $1, by the way. So on the 1st of January 2021, that fund was worth $228,549. On the 1st of January 2022, a year later, that fund was worth $584,624. That gives you a growth of 155.8%. Now, I hope that you see what's happening here. So, first of all, you must be in control of your emotions, but the emotions in itself it's so easy because we are human to listen to other people and the YouTubers and buy and sell and start getting crazy. But the moment that you've got a system that is built on a strategy, it's very simple to follow that system, and that is going to make it a lot easier. So maybe just to take this over a 5-year period, because I've said that I'm going to turn this 100,000 into literally 20 million over a 5-year period. And let me give you the indication why I'm following this strategy so that you can do more or less the same thing. If you just bought Bitcoin, because I'm getting the argument, yeah, honest, but just buy Bitcoin. Well, let's buy Bitcoin, which, by the way, would be a great investment over that last year. So if you've bought 100,000 rands worth of Bitcoin, 5 years ago, exactly on the 1st of January, 5 years ago, 2017, that Bitcoin, the growth on that would be 56.96%. That means your 100,000 would be worth $952,675 or rands. If you're in South Africa, like I'm in rands, and you invested in rands, that's going to be rands. If you're in America, it's going to be dollars, and if you're in the UK, it's going to be pounds. So whatever, because the growth stays the growth. And this is what I want to show you. Now, just imagine over a 5-year period, how many ups and downs there were, and how many people made comments, positive as well as negative. But you had to stick with that, and this is what the outcome would be if you just stick with Bitcoin. Now, if you follow the Dreyer crypto strategy and you follow that system from the 1st of January 2017 till the 1st of January 2022, and you did what the system was telling you and were telling you to do, that 100,000 would be worth 10.9 million here in South Africa. If it was rands, it would be rands. In dollars, it would be dollars. That gives you 155.8% compounded growth per year. That is incredible. But now just imagine how many ups and downs, how emotionally you'd be. And for me, that worked. So find yourself a way, a strategy that you can build a system on that you know that is going to work for you. Now, what will most people do? Most people are going to invest in mutual funds or unit trust here in South Africa. And if you were in the best unit trust in South Africa over the last 5 years, your 100,000 would be worth 330,000. There's no comparison between a mutual fund, and the main thing is there, you're giving your money away to someone else, like a fund manager or a broker, and they invest it on your behalf. With BTC and with the Dreyer crypto strategy, you've taken the responsibility to invest your own money. And there's a massive difference between having 100,000 and having 100 rand. And the reason for the 100 rand is that because most people, my first goal was in that challenge that I'm busy with, the 500K challenge, was to turn the 100 rand into 500,000 rand. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. But that is where the power is. And then the 500 to convert that into 20 million. That is part of that strategy that I'm busy with right now. So Warren Buffett says that if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money, and therefore you will not be a great investor. And the easiest way for me, at least, to handle my emotions is to get a great system that I can rely on, that I can trust, that is based on a great strategy, like in my case, the Wealth Creator Strategy. The Wealth Creator Strategy, if I can give you a quick summary of that, is the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. Risk is what's going to kill us, okay? I can only lose 100 Rand in this specific challenge. Okay, that's all, because I started with just 100 Rand. So risk is when you do not know what you're doing. It's got nothing to do with the volatility, because we use the volatility to our advantage. Why? Because we understand, and this is what I'm going to share with you today. So we understand what it is that we invest in. But what's that? How can we understand it, and what happens when we've got asymmetrical knowledge? In other words, we know stuff that other people do not know. The moment that we know that, we've got a competitive and an unfair advantage over other people that does not know this. And the insurance industry, the financial industry, will not teach this information to us, because then we will not use them in order to get to our goal. Now, why is this so important? Well, if you do not have a strict system, right, that is based on the right strategy, your emotions can easily sway the way that you're going to invest, especially when it comes to a very volatile market like the cryptocurrency market. And let's face it, at the moment I can assure you that there's nothing as volatile as the cryptocurrency market. I've just showed you how many times this thing dropped and other people said it's the end, but it's not the end, it's still continuing, right? So once you start to emotionally invest, you are going to allow this thing that we call greed and fear to take over your investment decisions, because you're going to start to listen to people on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and I guarantee you those are pump and dump schemes, and you're going to be totally confused because everyone is going to tell you something different. They're going to overwhelm you, and that is exactly what the big guys, the whales and the financial institutions wants you to have. If you do that, I can guarantee you that you are going to lose out on the long run. And remember, investment is over a long run, especially with cryptocurrencies. You can't look at a year or 2 years. You have to look at minimum 5 years. Your emotions and stress is going to lead to irrational and poor investment decisions. And that is why we need to find a way in order to handle our emotions and be emotionally stable. In other words, make rational decisions. Now, how on earth do you do that? How on earth can you make sure that you can mitigate your emotional investing? Now, in my case, because I am this emotional investor, and I was an emotional investor in my early life, I had to find a way in order to stick to that way, and we call that a system. Okay? So for me, find out what works for you. It's not to say what is working for me. Maybe you are emotionally like this, there's no fluctuation, and something else will not sway you to make decisions. But in my case, I'm a human. I've made many mistakes until I figured out I have to have a system. So with the right investment strategy, first of all, you can eliminate the fear. Now, of course, if you want to find out more about this 500K challenge, then you're going to find a link somewhere on this page. Make sure that you click on that and that you book for the next session. If we haven't got something, there's going to be invite, where I will share with you the exact blueprint. Today, I want to focus on the emotional side. In the blueprint, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing in order to get this 100 Rand into 800,000. The first goal was to get to 500,000. That was actually within the first year, and then the 500,000 to 20 million. That was the goal. But luckily, we've got, as you see a little bit later on, a little bit more than 800,000 as I'm speaking to you today. So This training, as I've said, we're going to focus on the emotional side, and for that reason, I'd like to invite you to the blueprint side, the 500K, if that is something that you would like to. So as wealth creators, we are not emotional investors. We are rational investors. And the easy way to do that, again, is to follow the advice of Warren Buffett. And he says for them to work, part of his strategy is we simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy and to be greedy when others are fearful. In other words, they do the opposite. Now, I've figured out a indicator, a psychological indicator. I call it the Dreyer crypto psychological indicator. And by simply following this indicator, over the last year, we've turned $228,549 in that previous challenge. I'm still busy with that challenge, but it's not the 100 Rand challenge. It's the $1 challenge. I've turned that 228,000 into 584 on the 1st of January 2022, which is 155.8%. Right. It simply means, if I can summarize what Warren Buffett is saying, is that we want to buy fear. Believe it or not, we want to buy fear and sell the greed. Now, maybe another way to say it is that we want to sell. We buy never to sell. But if people are getting greedy, they call it the fear of missing out, FOMO. If they get into that state because of the media and because of these whales that are pumping it so that they can offload to those people, this is actually what we are doing as well. Because if you are caught in that hype, that FOMO, you're going to become totally irrational. And then, of course, I'll sell to them because I know that the coin is not as valuable as what they think it is, simply because I understand that. And the main reason why I want to do that, and I do not do this very often, is that I can buy that same coin back at the later stage, but at the huge discount. Now, what happens if that does not happen? Then it's fine because I understand what I'm investing in. And I know that in 5 years and 10 years from now on, I'm in any case going to outperform the best fund managers out there. What is an investor, an emotional investor? When you feel your gut feeling, you say something, someone will say, I've got a feeling about this thing, or I think that this thing, or I know that this thing. You know that gut feeling that tells you that this is in my case, that's something that I've learned not to listen to what my gut feeling when it comes to investments, when it comes to the rest, I do rely on my gut feeling, but not when it comes to money, okay? Simply because we are manipulated by outside forces, and maybe that can be a video for a later stage. Now, the second one is the moment that you react to what other people are doing in the market. You're going to find a friend or someone pick it up on YouTube, says this thing is going to run, and then a little bit later you see that this coin is running 200, 300, 500%, and then you pick it up. Other people are because now your reticular activated system, which basically psychologically delete, distort, generalize, and add information so that it lines up with this that you are focusing on, that specific coin, that thing is starting to run, and then you start say, okay, flip, I need to get into this thing because this thing is going to go to the moon, and that is the worst thing that you can do, because that is what, and once you start getting into that, we call it FOMO, the fear of missing out, within a very short time after that, the market is going to turn. And as soon as that market turns, that is where the problem comes in, because then you're going to say, yeah, I should never have done this in my life. And the moment that you do that, you know that you're an emotional investor. And I'm sure that if you look at your history, you're going to find that most people, unfortunately or fortunately, are emotional investors. And if you start to freak out, you know that you are seriously an emotional investor. So those are basically signs of an emotional investor. But now the question then, how can we avoid it? And what is it that I've done in my life in order to avoid that? According to myself and what I've done, I've first of all developed a strategy. I've mentioned the strategy, the wealth creator strategy. Based on the wealth creator strategy, I developed in cryptos the Dreyer crypto strategy for my personal use, right? You have to figure that out, and in the webinar where I'm going to invite you, and if you want to enjoy, there I'm going to go a lot deeper in what I've done to develop that, so that you can of course do something similar. So By investing according to a strategy, you will make sure that you take the emotions out and become a confident and a rational investor. So it has worked for me I retired at the age of 37, not because of cryptos. Cryptos were not there at that point in time. I'm 64 at the moment as I'm doing this recording. But I've used the principle because the principles that I'm teaching and sharing with you is principles that you can use in business, you can use it in property, and I love property, I love business, and nowadays with what is offering, what the crypto market is offering us is unreal. So by investing according to the Dreyer crypto strategy, the cryptos, for me at least, have turned out to be an incredible investment over the last 5 years. Maybe let me give you a practical example, because most people focus just on the positive, but the emotions, the negative, is where the problem comes in. Now, with this previous challenge, I had a challenge where I said that I'm going to turn $1 into $70,000. And then COVID happened. We wanted to use that money to travel to Russia and through Europe with the 4x4s. It did not happen, so I extended that. Now, that specific, on the 15th of April 2019, I started with that challenge. And by the way, in the YouTube videos, you will find that. And on the 13th of March the following year, so almost a year later, right, that portfolio was down by 54%. Now, what will you do if you invest money and then suddenly the market starts sliding and it goes down by 10%, 20%? I think the majority of people would be out right there and then. But that would be the greatest mistake that I could ever make, simply because that fund at that stage was worth $92,841, right? But I knew that the underlying assets, the underlying value in the cryptos that I had was incredible. So all I did was to wait it out. And by doing nothing and just waiting it, as I'm doing the recording on the 1st of January 2022, that fund is worth, and of course it can fluctuate even during the day, but it's worth $584,624. That means it's a 529% growth in 18 months. Why? Because I'm not an emotional investor. And exactly the same, this is a different challenge. This 100 rands at the moment is worth more than 800,000. And this is the message that I want to bring to you. Do not become emotional investors. And if you are an emotional investor like myself, find a way to neutralize that. So if I would be an emotional investor, I can guarantee you that I would not be talking to you right now simply because of the ups and downs, and most people would lose money. So because of that, I can get this kind of growth that very few other people. And I'm not going to handle your money. What I'm telling you is there are ways that you can learn how to do that yourself. And that is what I want. So Warren Buffett says that if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money. And I guarantee you, my friend, if you cannot control your money, you will never be an investor. Right. So let's look then at another question perhaps, and I hope that this is helping you. How can we avoid being emotional investors? Well, the way that I do it, I put a lot of time and effort, and luckily I've got the time to be able to do it. But I take a lot of time and effort in order to understand, first of all, the blockchain. You have to understand the blockchain because that's the underlying technology that these different cryptos are using. Right. So before you invest, understand the underlying, the blockchain, and then secondly, make sure that you understand the specific crypto and what that crypto is for, and what that crypto, I call it what disruption this crypto can cause. What is this crypto all about? That's the first question. And then you must also understand what is the moat. That is one of the things. Now, the moat is what gives this crypto, this specific crypto, an unfair advantage over other cryptos or other businesses in that industry. That is what you want. Because the stronger that moat is going to be, the bigger the chances are that that crypto is going to become more and more valuable as time goes on. And that is what we want, because in the meantime, the market is going to be irrational, as we've seen with that first slides with Bitcoin, where the market goes up and down and up and down, and the downs is what most people are afraid of. But that is actually, we neutralize that by doing nothing because we bought at the right price. And by the way, I haven't bought a single cent exactly a year ago. That was just an example that I gave you. Why? Because that wasn't a great price at that moment in order to buy. So you have to make sure that you understand what it is and the fundamentals, the value. Because the value is not going to change. The market sentiment can change, but the value is not going to change. And as long as the value is there, you don't care what the market is doing, if it's going up or down, unless, of course, it goes up. You know, everyone is getting in this euphoria and this thing will never drop. That is the time that we pull the trigger. Right, so make sure that you understand the crypto. And then another thing, there's a lot of more things, but these two things, I think, the understanding and then also the moat. And then also you must know at what price you are willing to get into the market. We call it asymmetrical structures. Of course, in the webinar, I'm going to share you more what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing. If I can give you a pro tip, the best time to buy a crypto is when you know that it can add massive value. The way to do that is there must be a serious disruption in that marketplace that is going to bring. And if you know that value and you see that it is happening and that there's use case, in other words, people are using that and getting the desired result, that is the time to invest when no one else is seeing that value, you know, that use case. It's a tip. So another thing that you want to do is, in order to keep you cool, you need to know why is it that other people will buy and sell, and what is causing that emotional, the sentiment in that. That to me has been of great help, and that's why I built these two triggers within the Dreyer crypto psychological indicator that has helped me a lot. And because I know that this crypto, when I bought it, I'm buying it for long term, I can stand these ups and downs in the market, and I suggest that you do something similar. So I do not think in terms of cryptos or any investment short term. I'm not a trader, I'm not a speculator. I'm buying to hold unless I say that the market is getting irrational, then I'm irrational to take profits and lock those profits in. Right, so another tip, when do you make your money in cryptos? Is it when you buy or when you sell? Well, here's the trick. You always make your money when you buy. In other words, I've waited for cryptos like 3-4 years before I started buying. So I've done my homework, but then I'm checking the price. The price is not right. I'm waiting for that crypto. I'm waiting for that crypto until it triggers my buying price. Right. And for that, to be able to do that, you must really and truly understand the cryptos. By the way, I've got a name for that. We call it the asymmetrical investment strategy. And I'm going to share more about this in that upcoming webinar. You'll find the link somewhere if that is something that you think can add value in life. And that is exactly where I'm going to, one of the things that I'm going to explain will be this trick that I'm using. So if I can give you a quick summary, do your research. Make sure that you understand what it is that you're going to invest in. And then make sure that you understand that before you actually buy. You know, we are waiting for that crypto because we know that this is what we'd like in our portfolio. But I'm not going to buy just because I like the crypto. I'm going to buy the crypto or the property, right, at my price, not at just any price. And by doing that, and by having the system, at least to me, that is helping me to stay rational. So if this is of value, please make sure that you share this. And then also I'd like to invite you to that webinar, the 500K challenge, where I'm going to give you the blueprint. But not only am I going to give you the blueprint, I'm also going to share with you 4 high disruptive profit secrets. Now, the first one is asymmetrical knowledge. Asymmetrical knowledge simply means that we know stuff that other people do not know. For example, how to turn 100 Rand into more than 800,000 in 2 months. That is asymmetrical, and this is really, how on earth do you do that? Right, and I'm going to explain that. So once you've got that, then the next thing is, but how are we going to get the skills? Because most people think that it's going to take years and years and years for the skill. And do you know that there's a shortcut to get all the investment skills in less than a year, where you can become extremely successful. In fact, with certain things, there's a shortcut that I will share with you that you can do exactly what I'm doing in a matter of a week. This is how powerful this stuff is. You're not going to know and have the experience that I've got, but there's a method that I'm going to share, or a technique that I'm going to share, where my students are doing that and they are actually outperforming me with a week's serious personal investment. Right, not money, personal, it's time. You need to get the knowledge. Right, once you've got that, then remember this whole thing is about emotion. How do we take the emotion out? Make sure that you've got a system. I'm going to introduce my system to you. I'm going to show you my disruptive system and why I'm saying that it's disruptive. But at the same time, I'm going to guide you to build a system for yourself if you do not want to follow my system, because that is also possible. Now, the last one, I don't think you've got a choice. You have to develop a strategy or use my strategy, which is a wealth creator strategy. And that strategy makes life easy. So the moment that you understand it, that strategy, you can start to implement it. But I've got a very structured way in doing that. I'm going to share that with you so that you can do with that whatever you want to. So I hope that I'm going to see you there. Make sure that if you found value in this, make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow me. Also, I've got a playlist specifically dedicated to the 500K challenge. Make sure that you start with that. It's on YouTube. You'll find it. We'll add a link somewhere down there as well, so that you can find it easier. And then start following that. And then I'm going to see you in the next one.